Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Reporting. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be looking at the Silver and Blacks Week 10 Thursday Night Football matchup up against the Denver Broncos. I know that this game is going to be at Mile High, and I know that this is going to be a tough AFC West showdown, but I mean this when I say this. I know for a fact the Raiders can beat the Denver Broncos, and if you plan on pulling up to our watch party tonight, Thursday Night Football, I hope that you hit that subscribe button, and I hope that you turn on those notifications. And if you hate the donkeys, give me an FDEN down below. I want to get to 208,000 subscribers. Whether or not we win this game, I have no idea. But I promise you this, we will have some fun on the Raiders Report. So coming up here today, I'm going to get into my keys to victory on the Las Vegas side of the football. And then I sat down with our Broncos host here at Chat Sports, Trace Moustakis, and I told him, give me the biggest weaknesses for Denver. That way we can figure out how to exploit them. Let's first start here with the keys to victory for the Raiders, and it's no Geno turnovers. I was impressed by Geno's ability to play last week. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, the 284 yards. There was a lot of good. But the bad, and I felt like the domino really started to fall and hurt the Raiders after that second half interception. Because you go into half, you're up 6-3 up against Jacksonville after Little made a 68 NFL record-setting field goal. So you kind of felt like you got kicked in the, you-know-where a little bit. And then you end up following that up going into halftime where you really need to be able to get that ball rolling. And one of the things that I always say for this team is you need to learn how to make adjustments. The problem with that turnover interception by Geno was it helped Jacksonville get that ball rolling. And then they did 6 straight possessions where we were unable to get a stop. So if Geno can play clean football and if we can really get this team rolling with a lot of our other skill position players, and when you trade away Jacoby Myers to take pressure off Geno Smith to not force those turnovers, I want Chip Kelly to feature Ashton Genty and feature Brock Bowers. It shouldn't be rocket science that I'm sitting up here talking about featuring our great young running back and our great young tight end and Brock Bowers. So, to me, I want to play where we're being physical. And I want them to run the football aplenty with Genty, but I also want them to use him in the passing game. Because if there's one thing that Denver's really good at, it's being able to generate pressure, especially with 4 guys. And I know that they're going to be coming for Geno Smith because I'll tell you this, if I was the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator, I would do everything in my power to make Geno Smith feel uncomfortable, and I would be bringing the house. So if I'm the Raiders, I want to throw the ball to Genty in the flat. I want to create screen opportunities. But then at the exact same time, if Brock Bowers doesn't get 12 targets, I think at least in this game, what exactly are we doing from an offensive coordinator standpoint? Chip Kelly did speak to the media on Tuesday about kind of his overall game plan, and he didn't really feel that his game plan was a bad one up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The reason why it was a bad game plan is because the offense wasn't balanced. And for the Raiders to be successful, you need to have a balanced offense. And it only helps Geno Smith. It'll help get the ground game going with Genty. But not only will it help out the offense, it'll help out our defense. And I think one of the biggest reasons why our defense was so gassed in the second half, why they gave up 6 straight possessions with a touchdown. Yeah, the Geno interception did not help, but it was the time of possession. The time of possession for Jacksonville was in favor of them, I'm going to say by 16, 17 minutes, and that's because when the Raiders throw the football and they can't convert first downs with Geno, it results in a quick offensive drive, and then the defense is out there on the field for a long time. So I know Chip Kelly probably only cares about himself, and he probably really only cares about his ego and his offense, but you need to play balanced because it helps the team. When you play balanced offense, it prevents our defense from being out there over and over and over again, and we know we don't have a lot of depth. We know we lack a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football. So playing a more balanced attack not only will help your quarterback, not only help your offense, it'll really help your defense as well. Let's go to the next step here. We talk a lot about adjustments, and I feel like when I mention adjustments, I say a lot of things in regarding the offense. Today, I'm talking defensive adjustments. I'm talking special teams adjustments. Last week, the Raiders had 21 missed tackles on defense. That's disgusting. We also had 5 missed special teams tackles, and the Raiders right now are on pace to not only break the NFL's record of 87 missed special teams tackles, we're on pace to shatter it. We already have, I think it's 61 missed special teams tackles. We're right around that number. But if I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to yell at Chip Kelly for not making the proper adjustments on offense, I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to yell at Patrick Graham, Pete Carroll, and this defensive staff for not making the proper adjustments on defense. If we don't have the ability to generate pressure with 4, let's find ways to generate pressure with 5, 6, 7. Because if you're going to keep bringing 4 and nobody's going to get home, and you're going to play this soft zone, bend but don't break style Patrick Graham defense, teams are going to go up and down the field on you like they've been doing, and it's going to be long, methodical drives. And because you don't have the depth, because you don't have the amount of talent that you need to get stops, it's going to be a long day on Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a long season if we don't make the proper defensive adjustments. I want to keep on seeing Jeremy Chin in the big nickel. I want to see Darian Porter and Stokes on the outside. I would love to be able to see Lonnie Johnson Jr. out there. Let's put Devin White's ass on the bench. That guy stinks. Let me get more Jamal Adams. I need guys that can actually cover. And I know that we're probably not going to get anyone, but if you could go out and make a defensive adjustment, I'd love for you to make an adjustment by going out and signing a free agent. But hey, that's neither here nor there. The final thing that we're going to talk about, and I think it's the biggest key for this Raiders team on defense, got to generate pressure. And I don't know if it's going to be Malcolm. I don't know if it's going to be Tyree Wilson. I would love for the Raiders to give Tonka Hemingway and J.J. Pegues an opportunity here. But number 98, shout out to Max Crosby. I love the video that I saw on social media. It's been going viral where he's like, I'm going to get a sack. I'm going to get a sack for my daughter Ella. And, you know, he goes out there, ends up getting a sack. I'm asking on behalf of Max Crosby, I'm asking on behalf of Raider Nation, can somebody else, for the love of God, generate pressure on Bo Nix? Because whether you like Bo or not, and I do not like Bo Nix, he is athletic enough where he's going to be able to run around. He's going to be able to buy time. And if you give Nix time to throw, he's going to pick you apart, especially in that Sean Payton type of offense where it's a lot of the dinking and dunking across the middle of the field, which is kind of the exact kryptonite for what we deal with. And I just want the Raiders to be able to generate pressure in any way possible. Quite frankly, I would be more happy if the Raiders blitzed every play and they tried to get home on Bo and they tried to make him uncomfortable. I would be okay if you tried to blitz every effing play and we gave up yards. What I don't want to see is what you did against Indianapolis, what you did against Kansas City, and what you did in the second half against Jacksonville. It's bring 4 or 5, sit back in soft zone, almost prevent style of defense, and you don't prevent anything. If we make these proper adjustments against the Denver Broncos, I really think that we got a shot to win that game on Thursday Night Football. So here's going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and it's going to be a simple one. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to go answer this question. So literally right underneath the video, I have this question pinned, and it's going to say, what's your confidence level in the Raiders to beat the Denver Broncos? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you ain't confident at all. 10, we're getting a freaking dub. My answer is coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to go with a solid 5. And I'm actually can't even believe I'm going with a solid 5 because you look at a Denver Broncos team that's 7-2. You look at a Raiders team that's 2-6. Good teams find ways to win. Whether you hate to admit it or not, the Denver Broncos are a good team, and that team has found a way to win. But then on the other side, you look at the Las Vegas Raiders that are 2-6. And bad teams, they find a way to lose. The Raiders have found ways to lose. But I can remember back in just a year ago, the Raiders had 8 straight wins against their rival, the Denver Donkeys. And I really do say this. I think the Broncos are the worst 7-2 football team I think I've ever seen. I really think that we can get a win. I'm not saying we're going to get a win, but I definitely think that we can beat the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. Coming up next here on the show, let's get into some of the big-time Broncos weaknesses, and this is one of the reasons why I love Chat Sports. This is one of the reasons why I'm excited the more and more this company grows, because I feel like I know the Raiders like the back of my hand. Though, now that I'm noticing it, Chuck must have scratched the back of my hand. My guy, Trace Moustakis, he knows the Broncos like the back of his hand. So I was like, give me the weaknesses on Denver's side, and I'll try to figure out how the Raiders can take advantage of those opportunities. That's coming up next here on the show. Before I get into that, though, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. And even if you're like Mitch, I don't want to watch the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. Do you at least want to watch the Raiders on Thursday Night Football and have a chance to put a little bit of money in your pocket? I don't know about you. That's definitely what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show you my lineup here on today's program. So this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right, that never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which players are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. My lineup for Thursday Night Football, you might get mad at me for going the more on the 21.5 pass completions by Bo Nix, but I've seen this Raiders defense over and over and over again, and I'm pretty confident Bo's going to get 21.5 pass. Now, maybe I can jinx it. Bo, give me like way less than that. Maybe it's 21.5 and he throws for 21.5 passing yards. I don't know. But I did go Genty more, and I went Brock Bowers more. Those are two demon picks. So this is $5 to pay $55. If you're a bigger baller than I am, hey, man, go put more money down on that, and you got an opportunity to put some money in your pocket. So that's why I love Prize Picks. You're going to have something to root for. Even if the Raiders are getting blown out by 30 points, I'm going to be rooting for Ashton Genty more. I'm going to be rooting for Brock Bowers more. I will never root for Bo Nix more. I just think that it's going to end up happening. So if you want to roll with that lineup, download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the Broncos' weaknesses now on the show, sponsored by Prize Picks. They lack consistency before the fourth quarter. I almost feel like this is like the exact opposite of like what the Raiders do at times, where the Raiders look really good in the first quarter, and then they lack consistency the next three quarters, essentially. Now, again, I got to give them their flowers. They figured it out in the second half against Jacksonville, and that's kind of the offense that I'm hoping that we see for the entirety of the game. But when it comes to the Denver Broncos, they struggle. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter. They have struggled all season long in the first three quarters. But at the moment you think that you got them beat, they don't give up. And that's kind of where I want the Raiders' message to be. You got to know that the Denver Broncos, until that game is played 60 minutes and until there is 0-0-0 on the clock, Sean Payton's going to have that team fighting to the end. So I don't give a shit if you're up 18 points like the New York Giants were a few weeks ago in the fourth quarter. You play until you go, until you can literally not play anymore. But remember earlier in the show, when I was talking about playing balanced football, featuring Genty, featuring Bowers, if you do that, that'll make that defense more tired. And that defense is really good at being able to come out and get your quarterback. But if you have a tired Broncos defense, your offense stays out there on the field. That prevents your tired defense from going out there and getting shredded by Bo Nix in the fourth quarter. Here's another weakness. Bo Nix's inaccuracy down the field. Bo's really good in the first 10 yards. He's really good in the first 15 yards. You make him throw down the field, he's going to struggle a little bit. And if I was the Raiders, I would make Bo Nix beat me deep. I would. And it kind of goes against a lot of the things that I've talked about in past, because I'm always concerned about the Raiders secondary, because I don't think that we have a true free safety. I think we have the worst between cornerback, safety, and linebackers. I think we have the worst coverage unit in all of football, and there's a lot of numbers that prove that statement. But to me, I would say Bo beat me down the field. If I'm the Raiders, I'm going to try to play up a little bit closer. I'm going to try to be physical with Denver, and I'm going to make Bo Nix beat me down the field. And if he beats me down the field, you tip your cap to him. Let's go to the next thing. A lot of drop balls by Denver. I've seen Evan Ingram drop a ton. I've seen Sutton drop a ton. I mean, they got a lot of drop issues. And I think if you're the Raiders, you got to watch out for the deflections. You got to keep your eyes open. I know the Raiders are always going to try to go for the ball. It's what Pete Carroll likes to do. He predicates himself on being able to force turnovers. My point is this, though. They have a lot of concentration drops. And you see a lot of times the ball hit him in the hand, bops up into the air. If you're the Raiders, got to stay in the play till it's over. Because sometimes what you'll see is the ball get deflated or deflected up in the air, and the Raiders guys are nowhere to be found. It happened multiple times in that game against Jacksonville, but if they're struggling with drop issues and then you can get some pressure on Bo. You make them beat you down the field. This could be an interesting recipe for success for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to the next Denver weakness. They are missing their left guard, Ben Powers. And I'm not saying that Ben Powers is Jackson Powers Johnson, but when I was talking to Moose, our Broncos guy, about this missing piece, it made it sound like, imagine if the Raiders were missing Jackson Powers Johnson at right guard. Think about what that does to your mental. You're worried about that. He was worried about them missing Ben Powers at that left guard position. So if I'm the Raiders, I know that Max is going to eat. We got to get somebody else on their interior line, and we got to get somebody going after their left guard, whether it is Tyree Wilson, whether it is a Thomas Booker, Lalau. I don't care who it is. That's the offensive line weak piece. That's the spot that I'm going to be targeting. So Patrick Graham, Pete Carroll, you want to be able to generate pressure, you go target the left guard. Make him make a decision. Make that offensive line, who has not worked a lot together, make them work together. You do that, we're going to have some success. Let's go to the final one here. The defense doesn't force takeaways. I kind of laughed when he sent me this one because I was like, man, if you're a defense and you need a get-right game forcing turnovers, Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders are probably the perfect team to go up against. However, though, when you look at a lot of these Broncos' weaknesses, I actually think it kind of fits with a lot of the things that we do well, or at least things that we can handle, or things that have been our kryptonite. So I know the Broncos are 7-2, but I also know interdivision games can be funky. I know that the Raiders want to beat the Denver Broncos really bad. And I do think if the Silver and Black can play their best game, and they need to play their best game. You know that they need to play their best game. They know they need to play their best game. And it's time to put up or shut up time, and I'm hoping that they're able to do it up against the Denver Broncos. So before I get on out of here, reminder, Thursday night football. We're going to be going live at 7 Eastern time. I'm giving you guys 75 minutes before kickoff. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. And I don't give a shit if we were 2-14. You're going up against the Denver Broncos. I'm going to bring my A game, and I know the nation will as well. I'll see you guys Thursday night football. F the Broncos.